It is season 3, episode 10 of the Hall of Fame show, and my co-host, Evan Nolan. First off, I want to say thank you so much. You were a special guest on one of the other, I'm going to call it a network show.
Yeah, it's a network show.
It is a network show. My network, our network, the Not in Hall of Fame network. You were a special guest on How the Hell Did This Go Number One? That'll come out probably in a couple of weeks, where we looked at Bobby Darin and I just blanked on the song. I want to say Under the Sea. That wasn't it. It was Mac the Knife.
Mac the Knife, correct.
Yeah, my least favorite part was after we recorded when you and Andrea shared Kirk Gets Drunk stories on air. That wasn't my favorite part.
I have to tell you, I think Andrew and I would be very, very good friends if we actually hung out.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I attract good people. Whether or not I'm a good person myself, that's for other people to decide. But I'd like to think I'm a hub of something very special.
Fair enough.
Or I'm just special. One or the other.
That's what your mom always told you.
She told me many a lie. Like, you're of course handsome, Kirk. All the girls will love you. They did.
Hey man, you've been married twice, so you had at least 2 of them.
One of which I like, the one I'm with now. So we've got that going for me. I've been thinking about the shit smorgasbord, or the smorgasbord of shit, which is how we sort of open up every show. And for our new listeners, new viewers, it's pretty much where I just look at something in the world of usually sports that's either bothering me or just something I want to talk more about. So I want to have a conversation on something that just has taken place over the last week, but it really took place a month ago. Just we didn't know about it. And that is WNBA superstar Brittney Griner. She is in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when this shit happens or anything like this happens, people are going to go always far off the deep end in some ways. Either she deserves it or it's a travesty because of something that usually has nothing to do with it. So I wanted to wait, and I'm glad we could sort of wait a little bit to sort of like learn more. First thing first, when people are asking why is she over in Russia, and a lot of people aren't really that familiar with women's basketball, which is essentially the problem. And I've said a lot of negative things about the WNBA, not because I just respect the athletes, but because the WNBA players are getting what they deserve in terms of pay. And that's a sad reality. That's a sad reality. You can't expect them to get paid more on a league that has never once been profitable. Not once. And that's a sad reality. That why that is, I've gone into that in depth before. I'm not going to do that now. But what I couldn't figure out is why they get paid so much more in Russia. I don't know that answer. I still don't necessarily know that answer. So the team that Brittney was playing for, what is that club name? It's the most successful club team in Russia. They 10-time defending champions of the Russian league. UMMC Ekaterinburg. I'm probably saying that wrong, but whatever. I could care less if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. So she's played there. Sue Bird's played there for that team before, as has Diana Taurasi. Actually, when Taurasi took off a year from the WNBA, she did so for that team. Now I've been thinking about this too, because I tried to find attendance figures for this league and I couldn't find it. I did find sort of a highlight clip on YouTube of the 2018-2019 season, so pre-COVID, of all the games there. And I wasn't really focusing on the games so much as who was in the stands. Not very many people. Now, take this with a grain of salt, Evan, because I don't know other than what I found from that brief little bit. But that was the top team, and nobody seems to be watching them play.
Okay.
So why are they getting paid so much? So in the team for this group, or at least for this team, it's owned by what's his name? Andre Kositsyn. Probably saying that wrong too. Worth 4.5 billion. So one of those oligarchs that we were talking about, I think, just a few days ago. Why is he doing this? Don't know. I don't think he's making a profit. He also owns a KHL team. So is this just a way to just, is this like Mr. Burns and the softball team, so that he could beat Shelbyville? I can't think of any possible reason why they're doing this. And then I also thought about, you ever see the movie Clerks? We've never talked about that.
A long time ago, but yeah.
Okay. So there's a scene where Randall comes out saying, I just watched Return of the Jedi and something's really bothering me. What's that, Randall? And the answer was, because the Death Star was incomplete. So he said, well, they probably hired all these contractors and whatnot. So a lot of people who weren't really necessarily loyal to the Empire. Well, a blue collar guy, I don't know if he was a fellow contractor, just came up and said, you know what? I knew a guy who did a job for a mafia, and he was doing roofing or whatever the hell it was. He got killed, but you know what? He knew the risks. This is where I'm going here. All of these women knew the risk. There's a bit of a risk going over there. Because you're not exactly playing for really good people. You're not. You're going to a country, while most of these people are gay, but you're willing to sort of go to a country that is anti-gay. So you can be bought. All of them could. If I was in their position, I'd probably do the same thing. So I'm not putting myself on a higher moral plane, but I am going to say that I found also something Brittany Griner said 6 years ago, that she would not play, and she was asked by TMZ, well, would you play in Indiana? Apparently there was some kind of bill there. I don't understand it, but I didn't really look into it. Indiana had a bill which was, I wouldn't play in Indiana. I don't want to be discriminated against because of some bill that they had against religious persecution. I don't fucking know what it was. So she wouldn't play for the Fever. And then she went on to say that if the NCAA Final Four was in Indiana at that time, she wouldn't have played there either. But you would play in Russia. And I'm not holding that against her. I'm just saying, let's just remember that you're not exactly playing for good people. You took a bit of a chance here. So I don't want to hear any kind of moral outrage on some level, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I don't know if it does or doesn't, but I'm just sort of like pointing this out. Quote from Diana Taurasi. She said she had to go to Russia to be treated to really enjoy capitalism. I might have got the quote a bit wrong, but again, I don't want to hear, well, she had to do this because of the gender pay gap. Different product, there is no gap. This does not exist. It just doesn't. It's a totally different thing. And I would say the exact same thing if for whatever reason the WNBA shoots way over the NBA. Different product, different rules. Serena makes more because she's better than the men, because she puts more people want to watch her play. That's it.
Okay. So,
but I got one more thing though.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna let you finish before I say anything.
Okay. Now, so the other thing, so the people who say, well, maybe she had it coming because she had drugs. Okay, I don't necessarily believe that she did. Because okay, let me rephrase that. To me, it's equally possible that she had it as it is that it was planted on her.
100%, I agree with that.
Yeah. So did she get special treatment from before because of the one guy who the owner of that club? Sue Bird said that when she played for, I don't know if it was the same guy, but for that team, they fudged something. With one phone call, he arranged for her to have an Israeli passport so that they could sidestep the American quota. Again, you're not playing for great people. You know you're playing for people who are connected and who are corrupt. Saying all of this, I hope that this gets resolved. I do not wish this on her. I've said before, I do not think that Brittany Griner is necessarily a great person. She's a domestic violence abuser, which she is. She's not always particularly bright. She says dumb things. But personally, I could give a shit whether she does drugs or not. I I could care less if anyone does that. I think that should be your own personal choice, and I think criminalizing that adds to a lot of other problems more than it creates. I wish her nothing but the best, but I don't have as much sympathy as I would for others.
Okay. I think that it's odd in several ways. That first of all, I understand why you say she's going over there and getting paid and it's making a deal with the devil and everything.
Well, not necessarily making a deal with the devil so much as it's a tad hypocritical if you're going to be criticizing the anti-policies in your own country and then take a lot of money
I see what you're saying.
from that. So it was a calculated risk, but it was a risk nevertheless. So no, I don't want to say making a deal with the devil, but I am saying that she knew, because this was her 8th or 7th year doing this in a row. She knew what she was doing and what she's getting into.
Do you think Brittany Griner's coming home alive?
Yes, but no time soon.
I don't.
I hope you're wrong, man. I really do. Because I think the other thing too that's really interesting is the one person that could save her, the owner of that team. Why would he at this point? He doesn't have any.
Yeah.
There's no vested interest. He can't, like the State Department pretty much told them all to play. He's probably one of the people sanctioned. I don't know. I tried to see if he was one of those people on that list that they're trying to go after. There's no reason for him to do anything for her. I hope to God you're wrong. Well, I'm not religious, but I hope to whatever power that whoever's listening believes in. I do not wish. I can't even imagine the fear that she's going through, which might, for the first time, somebody that size, that strength, to be that afraid, I cannot even imagine. I do also want to say, though, that for those saying, well, and some people have, well, 3 weeks, like, if it was a Sue Bird, we'd have known. Not necessarily. They were told to shut up. Brittany Griner's wife is a WNBA player. And she was playing her European ball in Montenegro, I believe. I could be wrong on that. So they were all told to be quiet for her protection. And I read this quote on ESPN sort of with that. So I just sort of like want to put that out because that really kind of bothered me. Like we're looking for some things that aren't there. What was this? Did I already delete it? I might have already deleted it. No matter. But basically, it was like from someone from the government saying, really, or used to be in their safe. Just it's their safety. You want to keep this as quiet as possible. A lot of people knew what was going on with her, but they were told to keep their mouth shut because they didn't comment. The wife did not comment until the story was broken by the New York Times. But yeah, I just wish I would read something that sort of laid everything out rather than just say, ha, she deserved it, or, oh, this is the US, they have to do something because if they don't, it's because she's gay, which is horseshit. That's not it at all.
Yeah, I do not see the scenario in which Brittany Griner leaves Russia alive during this situation.
Why do you say that? I mean, like, because if it's like 5 to 10 years,
what possible reason does Russia have to release her?
They don't have any. But I mean, like, if it's through their like after she does whatever the time is,
she's not. If things continue to go as badly as being reported for Russia during the war, everything's up, and Brittany Griner's not leaving that jail.
She's not leaving jail. I don't know enough about that whole system to say whether after she's released, if she's released. But I mean, I think that's sort of the one thing that was sort of getting to me. Like, why isn't this getting more attention? Because it's not. Because she's not a big enough name. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, my ugly is going to be something that I don't understand why it's not getting enough attention either. So
okay, and and I think a big part of it is just we're watching a war unfold. There are bigger things, and I hate to say this, there are much bigger things to worry about than Brittany Griner.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, and I hope she gets out of this. I don't think she will.
Mhm.
I guess I'm a little more. I actually I didn't think this would be the case. I'm actually more optimistic on this than you are, that she's going to come back alive.
I just geopolitically, I don't see a scenario in which it behooves Russia in any scenario to let her go.
No.
That's my problem with it.
Yeah. So I just thought that was sort of worth. I just wanted to give my pair of pennies on that, and yeah, and I think it's just usually what sort of grinds my gears the most is just one-sided media on both sides of the aisle. For again, I don't. So the people like on the right wing side, like, why do you hate her so much for this reason? I'll tell you why. There's reasons I disliked her. She beat up her first wife.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. That's doesn't mean I want this.
Right.
Especially for something I think is bullshit anyway. Or even if she did do it, I don't care. Most people don't care. She vaped marijuana. Big fucking deal. Gives a shit.
Right.
Anyway.
So Hall of Fame news?
Yeah, let's move on out of that. That's the end of my smorgasbord. I could have like went on for a bunch of other stuff, but I just thought I'd do that. So for those who are still with us, sorry, I didn't mean to bum you out. Golf Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Tiger. He's a Hall of Famer, as he should be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to argue that there's anyone more important in the last, let's say, 30 to 35 years of golf than Tiger Woods.
I could say I'd go further.
I was trying to get where's Nicklaus and Palmer, where their heyday was what, the 60s into the 70s. So
well,
I guess
Palmer was super popular. Nicklaus was super good, and Tiger made everyone feel like they could do it too, because he looked differently than any other big star that the sport had ever seen.
Fair enough.
So in terms of importance, I'd say Tiger over everyone. In terms of greatness, well, let's just say his back nine wasn't great.
Yeah. Everything was fine until he got chased with a golf club.
Yeah. Didn't it feel like that was almost like the sure thing? Like he was going to break Nicklaus's record.
Mm-hmm.
Majors. I mean, no, it wasn't a matter of if it was like, could he do it before 30? He was that good. Or could he do it before 35? And then it just, I don't know what caught up to him. Just a lot of injuries, a lot of mental issues, a lot of wife cheating.
Yeah, it's like inability to keep his fly zippered.
A lot of athletes screw around, but like his fall from grace, it's with nobody likes a hypocrite or nobody likes a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thought Tiger was the consummate family man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And he wasn't. So and it's like what we were talking about before, like so many times. Why is Sammy Sosa so much of a pariah? Because he fooled them. And media doesn't want to be fooled. Nobody wants to be made a fool of.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiger made a lot of people look foolish.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Oh yeah, of course he did.
Yeah. So, and I think that there was a lot of that. For me, I always thought Tiger Woods was the most boring man alive. I had no idea he was this interesting.
Well, you didn't know who Mike Trout was really at that point, so.
That's so true.
Yeah. So.
That's why nobody gave a shit when Jeter was sort of like when he heard the story about the gift baskets after he slept with somebody. Mm-hmm. He never said he never said that he was a family guy. He was just a good-looking Yankee.
Right.
Power to him.
I mean, he was single, so I mean, you're allowed to do what you want when you're single.
No double standard there.
wasn't cheating on anybody because he wasn't with anybody.
I forgot to mention that last week because I wanted to say who had a worse year as an executive. LeBron James, because I consider him the GM of the Lakers, or Derek Jeter.
I would say Derek Jeter. So,
yeah, he gave up his share too, huh?
What?
He gave up his share too of the Marlins. Or
he did.
Yeah.
He did.
I wonder if this is gonna bode for Miss Ing.
Miss who?
Kim Ing.
Oh, Miss Ing. Yeah.
I don't know. For those who are unaware, that's the GM of the Marlins, who made history as the first female GM and the first Asian American GM. And I'm kind of rooting for her, but it's going to be tough. Anyway.
Anyway.
You want to go through the other inductees?
Yeah, sorry. So we also had on the men's side, we had Tiger Woods and Tim Finchem, who was the commissioner of the PGA Tour for 23 years. Most of the time when I was, put it this way, he's the only commissioner I know of the PGA Tour ever. I can't tell you who was before him. I can't tell you who's currently commissioner, but I knew who Tim Finchem was.
Oh, but you know what else we can tell you about him?
What?
You can vote for him as a contributor on the United States Athletic Hall of Fame.
There we go.
Not in Hall of Fame.com/USA.
Yeah. So, and
plug our project there.
It's very good. We need to do more of that.
Yes.
So also on the women's side, we had one of the what's the word I'm looking for? Groundbreakers of women's golf, Marion Hollins, who was both a golfer and a golf course developer.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
One of the only known ones in history.
Mm-hmm.
Won the 21 U.S. amateurs and is a runner-up in 13. So she lived from 1892 to 1944. She died of a stroke at the age of 51. Now there's a really bad joke there. I'm glad that I didn't escape my lips. But yeah, so Marion Holland seems like a very, very worthwhile person to induct. And also Susie Burning was also elected 11-time winner in the LPGA Tour, won a couple others on other tours, won the Western Open and the U.S. Women's Open 3 times. So also finished second in the Women's PGA Championship. So she won 68, 72, and 73 of the U.S. Women's Open. So another very, very good candidate to induct. Also, the LPGA Rookie of the Year in 1964. Apparently had some down years because she was the most improved player in 67. So between 64 and 67, apparently it didn't go so well. So, but anyway, four very deserving people. The golf hall does stuff, for those who don't know, every other year. So they won't have a class in 2022, even though everyone got inducted now because of COVID. So next class won't be until 2023.
Yeah. So I guess with that, we lost someone from our youth today, but I don't know if you're saving that as the hammer. Now it's time.
Yeah, no. I mean, you already brought it up. Let's just start talking about it.
Okay. Please go ahead. So this is a section for those again new. Evan always sort of like tells us who we lost in the week, and I really like how this has sort of progressed. I mean, not that I really want to talk about those we lost so much, but I really like how this sort of started by really focusing on just sports and music, but now we've kind of gone away from that. Just people that are from just different walks of life, and I think the first one you'll bring up is a big part of that.
Yeah. So Emilio Delgado passed away, and almost none of us know him by that name. So Emilio Delgado, from Calexico, California, best known as Luis from Sesame Street, passed away at the age of 81. He was with Sesame Street from 1971 until his contract was not renewed in 2016. Sesame Workshop went over to Disney and they retooled the series and all sorts of other stuff. They would bring him back, they said, eventually, but it never really happened. But yeah, Luis was, think of that, 1971. So kids who are watching that show in 71, let's just say they're born in like 67 till now, those kids are 55 years old. So, I mean, the vast majority of adults alive,
And their kids.
Luis is part of their lives.
And maybe their
and their
dad.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Luis is part of their lives. He and Maria were, own the fix-it shop on Sesame Street, and they're married.
Mhm.
And it was like probably the first stable Latino marriage on television, and one of the most longest running. I mean, Desi Arnaz married Lucy, but Lucy was certainly not a Latina.
Stable?
What?
Stable?
Also not stable.
Yeah.
Although very, very good at eating chocolate. But I mean, honestly, in television, they were groundbreaking, and they showed what it was like to have a stable, loving family, and a hardworking job. And it just, I don't know. It's just sad when it's like, I mean, this is going to happen. Bob is super old at this point. Maria's retired. She's younger. She was 16 when she started. But like Gordon and Susan and everybody's getting way up there in age.
Are they still on the show? Because you got kids, so I imagine you probably watched it semi recently.
Not like the thing now is there are too many shows.
Oh, okay.
Like the kids consume media through YouTube and stuff. So my kids will spend hours watching. They'll just pick something. Like I think I told you, my daughter loves Snake Discovery, but they'll also spend a bunch of time watching other people play games on there, right? So
that I don't get. But hey, I don't have to. I don't have to get it.
Yeah, but I mean, we also watch other people play games. They're just called sports. So, but I mean,
that's not weird.
It's just different. If Sesame Street were more on, I mean, I know it's on YouTube, but for more like on YouTube, I think they'd watch it more. They like it when they see the clips. I've shown them clips of stuff that they love. The old "Would you like to buy an O?" Which was when Lefty tried to sell O's to Ernie. Is one of their favorite songs.
I haven't thought about that character forever.
Yeah. Would you like to buy an O? Anyway, that's all we could do. I don't get sued by the PBS lawyers. But yeah, I mean, just a major part of America, honestly. And
Canada too. That was pretty big.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. And he was this. I think it's a little bit strange because like Bob has looked frail for years, and Luis hasn't. Like Luis was still looking spry when he left, 5 years ago. And yeah, he just passed away today, and it was kind of out of nowhere right before. It was very, very shocking. So he died of multiple myeloma, which I did not realize. But yeah, passed away.
I don't know what that is.
It's cancer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, cancer. It's blood cancer, essentially. Cancer of the plasma cells. So
not that you want it, but it seems like one of the worst ones you could get.
Yep. So anyway, Godspeed to Emilio Delgado.
Who else did we lose?
Well, the Beige Mistress was back out. I'm telling you, it's one a week now. Paula Morosi, who was the gold medal winning fencing champion from the 1964 Tokyo Games and finished with the silver in Mexico City, passed away at the age of 85. For those of you who don't know, I noticed when we started this program that there were a lot of Hungarian athletes dying every week. And so we came up with the Beige Mistress because not as opposed to Black Widow, it was something, very, very low key. At the end of 2021, Beige Mistress went quiet, but pretty much one a week now again.
Who would play her, you think, in the Marvel movie? I mean, what's a discount Scarlett Johansson?
Tara Reid.
Just don't expose the midriff though. For those, just Tara Reid's stomach. Don't do it in a full stomach.
Don't need a look. So once used to date Tom Brady at one point.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very small time period. We were very nervous at the beginning of Brady's career when Tara Reid started showing up at the Patriots owner's box. But anyway, Paula Morosi was 85. Also from, I guess, the pop culture. I don't know if you ever watched the old Mickey Mouse Club. But they used to have, in the old Mickey Mouse Club, they used to have the Hardy Boys mystery. It's like a 15-minute segment on the Mickey Mouse Club.
I've
The
seen
older,
those. I didn't know that was part of that. Maybe they cut that in a different thing in Canada or something.
maybe, but the younger Hardy Boy was Tommy Kirk, who passed away last fall. The older one, Frank, Tim Considine, passed away at the age of 81 as well earlier this week. So, in the world of horse racing, Gopher Gin, who won the 1994 Kentucky Derby, passed away at the age of 31. Oh, no, 30, almost made it to 31. Born in April and passed away in March. It's a pretty long time. So,
is there any better post career for an athlete than a horse?
probably not.
You win the whole thing. All right. Well, we're gonna put you to stud.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job, is just to screw.
Mm-hmm. And run around. So, yeah. So Gopher Gin has passed away. That's at the age of 30. From the world of soccer, this is a tragic one. Katie Meyer, the captain of the Stanford University women's soccer team, goalkeeper, who helped them win the national championship a couple years ago, saving the last penalty shot. Unfortunately, committed suicide at the age of 22, which stinks. Just yeah, I don't know
Did
how
you
else
learn
to say.
anything more about why?
I did not see anything else. So when asked about the situation surrounding her death, her mother said she'd received an email about disciplinary action and she'd been getting letters for a couple of months. The letter was kind of final letter. There's gonna be a trial of some kind. And the only thing they could come up with that would have triggered something.
Disciplinary action for what? For
the Stanford vice president said we cannot share information about confidential student disciplinary matters. So I have no idea. Who know? And they're not even confirming there was an issue.
No, and whatever it was, sadly, I guess she felt she didn't have. It felt like the end of the world to her, and she made it so
Correct.
it's just not. And at 22, I mean, what's the worst thing if it's disciplinary thing? You're gonna get kicked out of school. Your life's not over.
Right. So, I don't know, but yeah, she passed away at 22. Also passing away as part of the uprising or the Ukraine situation. Yevhen Malyshev, who was a Ukrainian biathlete, was killed in the Battle of Kharkiv on March 1st. So he passed away at the age of 19. Yeah. It's not getting better, man. How can I say?
No.
From
do we have anybody left?
I know.
No, I mean, still watching right now because this is a real downer.
I know. Well, we'll get into the whole other stuff coming up here.
We always close on the bad and ugly.
Yeah, I know. Well,
all right.
Yeah, we'll get there. So we lost a couple of officials this week. Johnny Greer passed away, NFL official, the first African-American referee in the history of the NFL.
When did he start? Did it say?
So he was a field judge from 81 to 87 and then became the first referee in 88. He officiated Super Bowl 22 in 1988, which was his last game. Well, that was his last game as a field judge. And it was the same game in which Doug Williams became the first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl, which, of course, had one of the most ridiculous questions of all time.
Yes, please, go ahead.
How long have you been an African-American quarterback or been a black quarterback? So, so he went through 2004 when he retired. His uniform number 23 is actually taken over by Jerome Boger, another African-American referee, in his honor. So, yeah, but he passed away. I don't have a reason, but he passed away at the age of 74. Also passed away from MLB, Terry Cooney passed away.
I remember that name.
At
Okay.
age 88. Probably most famous for ejecting Roger Clemens in Game 4 of the ALCS. He officiated the 81 World Series and then the ALCS at 78, 86, and 90 at 2 All-Star games in 79 and 89. So, yeah, he ejected Clemens for arguing balls and strikes because Clemens swore while arguing balls and strikes.
Not
Well,
Roger. That doesn't sound like something he'd do.
I know. And the Red Sox protested, so Cunha also ejected Marty Barrett for throwing water in the field from the bench.
Wasn't that one of your pseudonyms once?
It was, yes. When I was
I know way too much about you.
Yeah, I know. I was giving statements to police to try and, calm a situation down, and I didn't have my ID on me, and they wanted my name, and I kept giving them names of former second baseman of the Boston Red Sox, and they never figured it out. So one of them was Martin Barrett, was the name I gave them. So that's probably what Terry Cooney's best known for, but he worked in the league from 74 until he basically had to retire in 92 after a pitch from Frank Tanana hit him in the knee. And did so much damage that he couldn't actually support his weight repeatedly anymore. So Terry Cooney was 88. Also from baseball, just today as well, Odalis Perez, who did not retire that long ago. I guess he did. He retired 2008. I didn't think it was that long ago. One-time All-Star in 2002, fell off a ladder in the Dominican Republic today and broke his neck, died at the age of 44. Pitched from 98 to 2008 for the Braves, Dodgers, Royals, and Nationals. For some reason, I think of him with the Royals as most, even though he was an all-star with the Dodgers. Had left-handed pitcher, 73 and 82, reliever, 920 strikeouts, 4.46 ERA. But yeah, only 44. From the world of boxing, we had Burke Chart Van Chai passed away. Easy for me to say. The third Thai in history to hold the world flyweight title. Passed away at the age of 77. He held the WA flyweight title from 1970. I can't remember through. Well, just very shortly in 70. It was April of 70 through October in 70. One point champion of the world for his weight. Passed away at the age of 77. Also lost Ron Stander, also at 77, also known as the Council Bluffs Butcher. Probably best known for his loss to Frazier. I can't think of his first name right now.
Frazier?
What?
Not Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. For something like Clyde Frazier in my head, I could get it out of there.
Your beard is weird.
Yeah, exactly. So he lost to Joe Frazier in the World Heavyweight Championship bout in May of 72. Lost at TKO in the 5th round. So he beat Ernie Shavers to get there in order to have the chance. He had 61 fights, was 37 and 21 with 3 draws. But Rod Stander was 77 years old. From the world of wrestling, I don't know if you know this one. Joe D'Orazio passed away at the age of 99.
Who's that?
British professional wrestler from the golden era of British wrestling.
Not familiar with him.
Yeah, so I just figured I'd throw him on here. But 99 seems to be doing pretty well for a wrestler.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, for anyone.
For anyone, but particularly a wrestler. From the world of football, we lost Roy Winston. Played for the Vikings from 62 to 76 on the Vikings 69 NFL championship team, member of the Vikings 25th anniversary team, member of the 50 greatest Vikings. Played at LSU, was first team All SEC and a unanimous All American in 1961. It was a linebacker, passed away at the age of 81. And then two other quick ones. country music singer Warner Mack passed away at the age of 86. Best known for his hits from Is It Wrong for Loving You in 1957 and 1965's The Bridge Washed Out. I can't tell you I know either of those songs very well, but those were his two biggest hits. And finally, Jimbo Hinson passed away at the age of 70. So he actually went by Jim Henson, but then in the 1970s changed to Jimbo, so he was confused with Jim Henson.
I was wondering.
Of the Muppets.
Yeah.
So he wrote number one song for the Oak Ridge Boys, Fancy Free, which was their album Fancy Free. Also wrote hits for the Patty Loveless, David Lee Murphy, John Conley, Steve Earle, Reba McEntire, Lynn Anderson, and Carol Channing, believe it or not, amongst others.
One of those things, to borrow from Sesame Street, one of those things is not like the
others. Exactly right.
It doesn't belong.
Yeah. But he openly bisexual, diagnosed with HIV in 1985.
Country music, that is not typical at all.
So he'd been married. He and his wife have been married since the 80s, but he was HIV positive. Suffered a stroke in late 2021 and then had a second stroke earlier.
Is there an openly gay country star? I mean, there has to be one. Just
probably Chris Gaines. Kidding.
It's the joke of the night.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't honestly say I know enough about it to let you know. So anyway, so that's that. We didn't have any necessary huge names, but I mean, other than Luis. So
yeah, I would agree. That's the biggest name for me by far.
Yeah. So anyway.
So next section, it's our elevator up, elevator down. Who in the last week has done something that makes their Hall of Fame chances seem a little bit brighter, and who does not? Elevator up, it's going to be really quick. It's going to be Colby Covington, who won his main event at the last UFC Hall of Fame. Oh, actually, at the last UFC pay-per-view, it reminds me, Khabib Nurmagomedov. I can never pronounce his last name.
Sure, that guy.
Yes, that guy. But considering I can never pronounce his last name, he is one of the best retired undefeated, just last year or 2 years ago, 2020. Kicked Conor McGregor's ass. So congratulations to him for being named the first member of the class of 2022 for the UFC Hall of Fame.
Cool.
Colby Covington won his main event. A lot of people don't like the guy. He is a staunch Trump guy, which even in Nazi, that doesn't mean everyone loves that. But controversy aside, this is one Hall of Fame that doesn't give a shit about your politics, one way or the other. Dana White might be right wing, but Dana, from what I've read and from what I've learned, probably doesn't care if you have a different political opinion than he does. So he's been an interim champion, but he's now a 2-time Fight of the Night winner. That stuff does mean a lot, and he's my elevator up for the UFC Hall of Fame. Elevator down. I don't think this guy was really being discussed for any Hall of Fame, really, but oh my God, Calvin Ridley.
How not to handle a bad situation, honestly. Like the story itself was one thing, but the way he handled it afterwards made it much, much worse.
Yeah. So for those unaware, Ridley's been suspended for the entire 2022 season, costing him, I guess, probably $11 million. And this because he didn't even set up a fake account. So while he was dealing with issues last year, he took some time off to deal with personal problems. I don't know what the personal problems were. It's none of our business anyway. But during that time off, he wagered $1,500, which for him isn't a whole lot of money. It is for me, but it isn't for him.
Right.
So, but basically he bet on the game. You cannot do that. And yes, I understand that the National Football League, a big part of their whole existence is gambling. But not when you're actually in it. You can't do that.
But he wasn't in it. He was injured. It was not a game he was playing in.
He's still on an NFL roster. Can't do that.
I'm just saying.
No,
Like,
I totally get that point.
and as far as we know, there's been no one. And again, it could have been sour grapes. But as far as I know, there's been no investigation into Stephen Ross. The fact he allegedly played his coach, offered his coach to lose games. How's that different? And again, one's proven and one's not proven. I get that part. But it doesn't appear to be any willingness to do an investigation into Stephen Ross, as far as we can tell.
And that's a very good point. I don't know why that is. I mean,
That's $100,000 versus $1,500.
They buried the lead on that story. I mean, I really think that Flores, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, since this has come up. You had to me a clear-cut case, and everyone would have been on your side. And right now, has anyone even jumped on with him on this class action? Nobody, right?
Not that I know of. And he ended up taking a role with the Steelers anyway.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that completely.
He's like the linebackers coach for the Steelers.
Okay. Yeah, if any team was going to do that, it'd be Pittsburgh, which sort of makes
Pittsburgh or New England.
Yeah. So
Baltimore would have done it too.
Yeah, but yeah, and you're right.
Actually, more teams would have done it. Vegas would have done it too. There are a bunch of teams that would have done it. Houston and Miami were the two I would definitely count out, but the other ones would have done something like that.
Right. No, I mean, so like that lawsuit's going to go absolutely nowhere. And frankly, it should. And it's the right lawsuit by the wrong guy.
100%.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. We should be talking about that more. I personally don't think it's that big a deal what Ridley did, but we know what the rules are. Yeah,
we do.
And they've been pretty steadfast on this for a long, long time.
And they've suspended other people for the same thing.
Yep.
Like the wide receiver for the Cardinals got suspended for a year 3 years ago.
Yeah. So it's not like this is like, well, I didn't know about this stuff. Somebody had to know about this. And
well, his username was Calvin Ridley of the Falcons.
I didn't know it was of the Falcons. I just knew he did this under.
Yeah. So it wasn't hard to track down.
NBA players who got suspended. Well, got suspended because they got into a fight at a food truck. And how did we know that? Because they uploaded it themselves.
Yeah. Right. So. Oh boy.
Yeah, he's 27. This should be the prime of his career. 2 years removed from 1,000-yard season. Now it'll be 3. He gets back. And
a lot of teams are trying to acquire him. Apparently, the Eagles were on the verge of acquiring him.
Yeah, well, we were.
Patriots were looking at it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
he's not going to get a $11 million contract again.
No. Nope.
And it's really a shame. It's unfortunate for something so colossally stupid and avoidable. When you're just sitting at home
in a pittance to him.
Exactly.
He made a $1,500 bet and lost $11 million.
Yeah, did he even win his bet?
No, he lost it.
He lost it. Okay, I didn't even know whether. Oh god.
It was like an 18 parlay. So, yeah, just dumb. So
it is. I mean, there's a lot of dumb rules, but there's sometimes you get busted for rules that are dumb, but you didn't know they existed. You know this exists.
Yeah, there's no question this one exists.
So, like, it's again, I feel bad, but my sympathy level isn't huge. Because it's something that every NFL player has been told over and over and over again. But yeah, oh well. C'est la vie.
They love it.
Yeah. So yeah, you actually before we went on, you said you had one that you thought might be a good elevator down. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, Carson Wentz. I mean, I don't think he was necessarily ever going to be an elevator up or a Hall of Famer, but the fact that he's been traded twice in 3 years in a league that's just desperate for things. Someone did a compilation. His trades he's been involved involved with now have involved. He's been traded in trades for with 3 1s. I think it was 3 1s, 4 2s, 4 3s, and 3 4s for draft picks were involved within the trades he was traded in. I don't know what the. I mean, he apparently is not a good guy, from what we've heard.
Mhm.
But this is the 5th different starting quarterback that the Colts are going to have in 5 seasons. Like that's some turnover. I know Grigson is well liked within the community, but or not Grigson. Grigson was the old guy. I can't remember their new general manager. But like 5 and 5 is not the way to go.
No, it is not.
So,
No, it is not. But you know, you can they're at least they're not the Bears who can say that their last great quarterback was when.
oh, they've been looking for the next quarterback for 75 years. 72 this year. Be
Mhm.
73. Sid Luckman retired 72 years ago.
Yeah, they're one of the team. Like Jim McMahon is probably one of the worst quarterbacks to ever win a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and everyone loved at the time. But when I was a kid, we all loved Jim McMahon.
Yeah. But he wasn't there to cause no trouble. He was just there to do the Super Bowl shuffle, but not really there. They had him on the screen with the rest of the guy in front of the rest of the guys. Like he was
But on
clearly edited
TV,
in.
they call McMahon.
It would have been hilarious had they lost, but they did not.
I propose at some point in time, and we'll get another big group for this one. We are going to do a countdown show of the worst athlete songs.
The worst athlete songs?
Yeah, songs done by athletes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Tony Parker's French rap album might come to mind. That might get played.
Okay.
Chris Webber's rap album was also equally bad. It's like he just discovered Casio.
Excellent.
Oh, terrible.
Well, some of these things I'm not aware of, so I'm sad. I guess I'll have to hear. So.
Oh yeah, here's your homework. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Baseball Boogie.
Oh, I know that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one I do know. So, all right. So should we move to the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, Evan's weekly look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the week of sports.
All right.
That was my bad.
I'm gonna actually say something weird. I know, and not for the reason you think.
Okay.
The good's actually gonna be baseball, but not for solving the lockout, which should never have happened in the first place.
Mhm.
But because of the fact they got back to 9-inning doubleheaders and eliminated the stupid guy on second base rule that they did last year. Like, just thank God they got rid of like
I didn't hate that last rule.
oh, I hated it so much. It was so gimmicky. And it just like going back to, and I know purists are going to hate the fact that they've changed the schedule so that there are fewer games against your own division now.
Mhm.
You're going to play every team in the other league, and that there's going to be DH in each league now coming up. But like those are like scheduling and a few other things. I think they're also increasing the size of the bases as part of this. But like,
Did they say if we're getting a 162 game season or no?
we are getting a 162 game season. So the first series that they canceled, they're putting on the back end, and they're eliminating the if there's a tie for a playoff spot, they're basically going to use NFL tie-breaking rules. So there's not going to be like a playing game.
Well, there's 12 teams now, right? So that's
and they wanted 14.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, if you can't make out of 12, I don't want to hear it.
Right. So I did want to just say thank you for stopping to make this like a gimmicky basketball thing, and going back to actually something that makes some semblance of sense.
Okay.
So I will say that. On the bad, baseball. Why the fuck did this take 99 days to figure this out? Like the major leagues, the owners just kept making deadlines. And then like, yes, this is a firm deadline for no apparent reason. And we're going to cancel games. We're going to do whatever. And then they just went back on that. Like, it was just so stupid and transparent. And honestly, owners got what they wanted in a certain extent because there's fewer games in April and more in September, which is really what they want in general. But this whole thing was stupid. They're like, oh yeah, we're running out of time. Well, you had 42 days. You guys didn't even talk. And the first time you talked, it was 7 minutes. Like, what were we doing here? The whole thing was stupid. And both sides, honestly, got only a little bit of what they wanted out of this deal. The players got higher average salaries. Then they got improvements in the play, the amount of money they're getting, but not like the big overarching economic change they wanted, which is why the vote was 28-12 on this. So the representatives from 28, team representatives from 28 of the clubs voted yes, 4 voted no, but all 8 members of the negotiating committee voted no.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they went 0 for 8. Now 5 of those guys are Boris guys. So it's probably they're the ones who care more about the competitive balance tax than the guys at the bottom.
Yeah.
But it was a much better deal for them than they had been, even if they didn't get everything they wanted. And for the owners, they got to keep their certainty. They got to keep the 6 years before free agency. They got to keep arbitration. They got to keep all sorts of things that the players didn't necessarily want, but they gave up more money in order to get that. And they ended up with, a draft lottery, which again, baseball draft doesn't really matter that much. Let's be honest, comparatively.
Yeah, I didn't think that was much of a win for.
No, it didn't matter. And the international draft, I think, is important, but again, not a huge thing overall. But yeah, it just both sides gave us something up, and they got something. Nobody's fully happy with it, which probably means it's a good deal. But yeah, just the fact it took this long. But just one other thing, as a bonus bad this week, I don't know what's going on with Chelsea football. Did you hear what's going on with them?
The ownership?
Yes, the ownership. So he had said, Roman Abramovich had said that he was going to sell the team, and of all the money go to pro-Ukraine, Ukraine Relief Society, stuff like that.
Okay.
But then the UK government froze his assets. So now
that's not going to happen then.
Right. So he can't sell it. So here's what it means for Chelsea. So Chelsea has a special exemption for this, where they're allowed to do stuff through the end of the season, which is like May 24th or something along those lines. So next couple months, but they cannot sell any home match tickets. So any tickets that have already been sold or season tickets, people are allowed to come to the games with those tickets, but they can't sell any unsold tickets.
Oh.
I hate ESPN.
This musical interlude brought to you by Evan's Computer.
I have everything on pause and I have everything on mute, and then ESPN's like, we're going to ignore everything you've ever done. Reload it.
It's funny. That's not like ESPN to ignore the wishes of the fans.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
Bring back the world's strongest man. God damn it.
I like that.
100%. So after March 10th, they can't sell any more tickets. So that's today, right? So that means there not going to be any away fans for any matches that haven't gone on sale, right? The club is going to pay the wages of all the players and staff, but their travel costs for away games are limited to $20,000. I have no idea how much that costs normally. I mean, driving around England is probably not that big a deal, but I mean, if you're going, Newcastle, stuff like that, it's not that close. So I don't know if 20,000 is enough to get everybody who has to get there. Cost of home games for security, catering, and stewarding is capped at £500,000 a game. They cannot, any payments to and transfers from other clubs and loans agreed to before today can still be made. Broadcasters who show Chelsea games and pay revenues, but those funds are going to be in escrow. They don't receive them for that. And any third parties who have Chelsea merchandise can sell what they have, but the proceeds cannot go to the club. So it's going to be interesting to see what that means for
I got no idea.
the situation. It's just going to be weird. So
on a happier note, as we were scouting for apartments today or condos where we may or may live in, because I think we're going to stay downtown, Had a beer at this one place that seems to be the great soccer pub that I'm going to be taking you to. Couldn't find a scarf that had Leicester.
Oh, excellent.
I found everything else. So yeah, and we'll have to.
I do need a Leicester scarf. I should tell my wife that for Christmas or something. So
yeah, so I already found some of the places I'm going to take you on your Jets/Blue Bombers excursion of 2022 or 2023.
Sounds excellent. It's more likely 23, just just with the way my year is going, because I have a bunch of backup traveling I have to do. So
well, we might even tie in some independent baseball league here.
Ooh, exciting. If you ever here, I'll bring you to a Schaumburg Boomers game.
There you go. The Winnipeg Gold Eyes.
Gold Eyes, not the Golden Eyes.
No, that's what I thought too, but it's the Gold Eyes.
The Golden Eyes you have to watch on 4 different screens at once. So, so anyway, all right. So that's my bad. My ugly.
Speaking of away games.
Yeah, my ugly is something which I don't understand why Western media is not covering more than it is. So there was a soccer match on Sunday, one of those 2 days. No, Saturday, between Querétaro and Atlas, which are 2 teams in Mexico.
They're up top flight, right?
Top flight in Mexico, Liga MX. So the games they played at Querétaro. Querétaro is a province, still in the bottom. Like Mexico's kind of funnel shape. It's in the bottom part of the funnel below Mexico City, not that far down, but down there. And Atlas had taken a 1-0 lead when Querétaro and Atlas fans started fighting. And while to this day, they are claiming that nobody died in this, despite the fact that the reports of 17 people died. The people in charge of the thing said that nobody died, despite the fact there are graphic videos of people just lying there lifeless. Guy had like 15 stab wounds and blood coming out of him, but he was fine apparently. They took one guy out who was a well-known Atlas supporter, and they brought him they put a oxygen mask on him and brought him into the back of an ambulance. The whole thing was filmed, and there was he had no breathing. Like the basket was inflating, his chest wasn't inflating. He'd been on the ground in tons of videos and dead. Like how they're saying nobody died, I have no idea. Because there are people saying ultimately that people died. But regardless, this match happened, and not only was security not there to stop it, they actively participated in the beating of the other team's fans.
I didn't know that.
Members of security were beating them with their nightsticks. The police who were in the area were outside, and the ones who were in there ignored the whole thing. There's another whole video of like everyone charging behind, and a police sergeant and his mask is sitting there talking on his cell phone while all the chaos went around him.
Is this a first? Because we've read about stuff like this happening in other countries. Is this a first for Mexico?
The first one of these I've seen from Mexico,
Okay.
but I'm sure there's been stuff. Like I said, I was at the last Boca River game in Buenos Aires in 1999. The last Super Clásico del Siglo. And it was the last game, as far as I know, that Boca fans were allowed in River Stadium. River Stadium's Estadio Monumental, which is essentially the stadium that almost all of Argentina's home soccer games are played in for international competition. And the stadium's divided into like the 2 end zones and the 2 sides. And on the one end zone was all the Boca fans, everyone else was all River fans. And on the Boca fans side, I was sitting maybe 8 rows from the top, maybe 20 yards from the Boca fans. And in that section, there were, by my count, 45 separate fires burning on the seats. The River had got up 2-0. They ended up winning the game 2-0. The firefighters trying to put out the fires. They jumped like the fences with the barbed wire and were cutting the hoses. I saw a police officer push from the upper deck to the lower deck. Like they're throwing batteries, bottles of piss. It was like crazy. Like that was nuts. That was much more tame than what happened in this game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I was reading that so the one team they're not allowed to bring their fans for road games, right?
Oh no, well, the Querétaro's punishment. Let me actually get it. I had it up. I actually just closed it. So Querétara's punishment, the club's directors are banned from the league for 5 years. So that means
Wow.
member of the board, the owners are going to have to sell the franchise within a year.
Okay, yeah, and I guess that sort of makes sense because if you're paying security to, and at some point, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they were fined 1.5 million pesos, which is somewhere between like $70,000 and $100,000, depending on the day.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the match 3-0. Their fans, known as the Barras, were banned from home games for 3 years and from away matches for 1 year.
Wait, all fans, so they can't have. So if they've got a home game, no one can go.
They're hardcore organized fans. Like the U.S. has Sam's Army, like the guys who travel everywhere, and there's like a membership group and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're all banned. They're going to be installing in every stadium facial recognition software now to make sure that these guys cannot come in.
Shit.
Judge authorized searches of suspects' homes and found 82 jerseys with Querétaro insignia, 4 pairs of athletic shoes, and 22 cell phones, all of which were stained with blood. And some of these guys are going on social media talk about how like they killed someone and they would do it again because those guys deserved it. Like just over a freaking soccer game.
Wow.
So now there are people here's where I want to say there are people calling for Mexico's being thrown out of the World Cup because they just did that with Russia invading Ukraine.
Not the same thing.
Hold on. Let me finish. There are 3 games coming up in this month that are going to determine who goes to the World Cup from North America.
Okay.
Their next home game for World Cup qualifying is
USA.
United States. Yeah. United States is the next game down there. And I will say that I do not understand how violence at one stadium is going to ban the players from playing in a game.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is this. The next World Cup is Canada, the US, and Mexico combined.
Okay.
And if FIFA decided to pull the games from there are 10 games being played in Mexico,
mm-hmm.
if FIFA decided to pull those 10 games and redistribute them, I think that would 100% be within their power. Because FIFA is repeatedly, particularly the homophobic and racist chants that are coming on for them. Of course, the last time they had homophobic chants, it was just, they were saying, I'll say the word, you can bleep it out. I know you do a lot of editing, but the word was pute, which just means fucker, right? Like, and they were saying that was homophobic. That's what people call each other. But there are a lot of homophobic and racist chants that have been trying to stamp out around the world, but particularly with the Mexican fans. FIFA's talked about it with them a bunch. Mm-hmm. And the fact that security was participating in this, and it just seems like there's a cover-up from the Querétaro government. Like the governor came out and he's like, why would I lie about this? What do I possibly have to gain? Right. Well, the answer is if they don't die during the match or at the stadium, then the team isn't responsible for it under Mexican law.
Mm-hmm.
If they die at the hospital, it didn't happen at the stadium. So they're not responsible. So like just the cover up and everything else, if the FIFA, I think, would be within their rights, not just for what happened, but for the failure to do anything about it, really.
For the well-being and safety of
and safety of people coming in. If they wanted to pull those 10 games next World Cup for Mexico, I think it would be 100% be within their rights to do so. Mm-hmm. That said, Mexico should not be barred from this or the next World Cup.
What's the current ranking right now in CONCACAF? Like what's because you know that.
Oh, the standings. So you just wanted me to tell you that Canada is number 1.
Well, I already had you sing our national anthem, so I'm not going to double.
Well, hey, I am on record in September saying that Canada was going to qualify for the World Cup. Am I not?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So for right now, so there have been 11 matches played. There are 14 total that can be played. Mm-hmm. So right now, Canada has 25 points. There's 7-4-0, 7 wins, 4 draws, 0 losses for Canada so far. The U.S. is next with 21 points at 6-3-2. Mexico also is 6-3-2. But the U.S. has a better goal differential. So US is
Top
plus.
three go through.
Yeah. Well, top three go through, and the fourth place team goes to the Intercontinental Playoff. They'll probably play New Zealand.
Fourth is whom and how far behind are they?
So fourth right now is Panama
Mhm.
with 17 points. So they're 4 back of Mexico and the US.
Mm.
Costa Rica is fifth, but there's a lot of those teams up top play each other. So just because Panama's 4 back doesn't mean that they're out of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Costa Rica is 5 back. Honduras is out. They've got 3 points. Jamaica's basically out. Let me just do the math. Yeah, Jamaica's out too because they can only get to 16 and they have 7.
Mhm.
So Jamaica's out. El Salvador's got barely has a chance. They got 9. So it's 4 out of those 5 are going to make it. Canada's already basically through.
I know Costa Rica's been in the World Cup before. Panama hasn't, have they?
Panama has.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yeah, Panama made it last time when the U.S. didn't. Panama went because the U.S. couldn't at least tie Trinidad and Tobago in Trinidad. All they needed was a tie, and they lost 2-1.
Okay. All right. Well, that's man. I always love it when you go international soccer. I always learn something.
Well, this one is, I just don't get why it's not being covered. And like all the stories of it are just basically, well, this is what the authorities said, so they must be telling the truth. Like is it possible? I suppose there's some world in which it's possible that the guy has been stabbed 16 times and been lying on the ground for 3 hours is still alive, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. It's not like there's not a lot of Americans who know what's going on in Mexican soccer. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, but like even the places you expect it. I will say this.
Mhm.
The show, God, I can't remember the name of the show. Hold on, let me get the name of the show here quickly. Hercules. So former U.S. international Hercules Gomez.
One of the best names ever, by the way.
Yeah. Hercules Gomez soccer show. Why can't I find it? I can't remember the name of the show that they were on, but that it was the first time I'd seen it. Apparently, it's been around for a year, and they had the absolute best coverage. It was appropriately shocked at the same time measured, and handled everything really, really well. Let's see, Hercules Gomez. Can I find him? Yeah, it was Sebastian Salazar. Yeah, I can't find it. I type in Hercules Gomez. It takes me back to stuff from 2012 on Twitter. But that show just did a really, really, really good job. If you want to see if you can find it, just type in Carataro versus Atlas, and eventually it will pop up. Sorry, I said Carataro. It's Carataro. I had been pronouncing it wrong my entire life. But yeah, it was really, really well done, and that's a soccer show. If I could find it again, that I would watch to get all of this information because it was super well done. So
okay.
Anyway,
so with that, the show is closed. We're going to ask you again: cast your vote. United States Athletic Hall of Fame, www.nothalloffame.com/USA. Catch Evan as a special guest on How the Hell Did This Go #1? A very special guest, I thought.
I also probably the first person ever to attempt to talk in the Cree language on the network.
Yes, you are. And actually, first time I've ever heard the Cree version of the Canadian national anthem. A very nice touch.
Thank you. And if it's wrong, blame the Edmonton educational system because that's where I got the words from. So
I'm sure not the first time. Somebody's blamed them for something.
100%.
Yes. Pretty soon there'll be another episode, maybe another 2 episodes coming up of This Crap Was on National Television with Chris Bournet and myself. Vinny Lospinuso, our wonder kid of Halls of Fame. We recorded Leo Ferris, the inventor of the 21st-second shot clock.
Yep.
One of the biggest innovations of all sports. And Vinny tells you why he should be in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And I was really excited because this time he gave me someone I heard of.
Yeah, and he's absolutely saved the sport.
Oh, God, I can't even imagine that without it.
17-16, 48-minute basketball game, 17-16.
Mm-hmm. Vinny was talking about how there was one game where it went 2-0.
Yeah.
That was the final score. So yeah, all this and so much more. There's a couple other interviews that will be coming up soon. And hey, wherever you are, wherever you may be, stay safe and have a good one.
Take care, everybody.